All right, I think we're ready to get started here. Um, as a reminder to the people that are in class and online, either way, I need you logging in at this time so I can do attendance, and we are going to kind of teach and do things simultaneously. So be on every day at this time. Usually, looking at the agenda, usually I do no reading at the beginning, but thinking about it, I think it makes more sense with people at home and people here to do it at the end because I don't want to say, hey, go work on no reading for 20 minutes and then get into a lesson after that. I think it makes more sense to make sure I cut out 20 minutes at the end of class so that you all that are online, if you don't need help and need to stay on the Google Meet, you can jump off and work on that on your own and get in whenever you need to. Okay, so we're going to do that at the end of the lesson. So today, looking over what we're doing, the first thing we're going to do is the knows and need to knows for the entry document. And we're going to kind of make a class list for that in a Google document. And I'm going to kind of have you all kind of feed me that information. And I'm going to be writing it down. And I'll be looking for my online students to be participating as well as the people out here in my class. Okay, so we'll kind of figure that out in a second. The second thing we're going to do is an 8 features of civilization workshop in which we are going to take some notes on what makes a civilization, because that's something we're going to be talking about as you're researching civilizations. What makes a civilization a civilization? The third thing is we're going to choose your civilizations you're going to be researching. Starting at the beginning of this project, we're going to look into that very early. And then we're going to do benchmark 1 civilization research assignment, which is kind of just a basic first step research into the civilization that you've chosen. Okay, so let's take a step back. Let's scroll and look at those knows and need to knows. So you're going to go into Echo, and you're going to go to our current project, civilization creation and character creation, and we're going to go to that entry document. Let's open that up. And you all should have in front of you your entry document. If you wrote it down, or if I gave you a copy yesterday, pull that out. But everybody should have their entry document. We read through that yesterday, looking at. And what we're going to do today is using that entry document, I am going to create a list for the classroom of knows and need to knows. The last few projects, I did that for you. I kind of went ahead and said, what are our knows and need to knows, and let you know. But right now, we're going to try to do this together. So I'm going to open up a blank document. I'm going to be the only one on it. On your computer, you should have your entry document up. Okay, so I'm going to call this third slash fourth knows and need to knows. And then I'll post this into our project once we're there. So we're going to start with knows. And I think that everyone in my class can see this list. And then if you're online at home, you can obviously see it on the Google Meet. Did I share my screen? I didn't. You guys got to let me know if I forget to do that. Sorry about that. Payden, will you mute your screen, please? Thank you. Okay, now you can see my screen. So we're going to start with knows. Okay, so what do we know about the project? So I'm going to have the students in my class kind of volunteer first, and I'll repeat what they say, and we'll kind of work through this together. So what do we know about the project? Somebody in the class, let me know. What do we know about the project? Wyatt. All right, we are working with Big Bang Toys Comics. So we're working. So let's say Big Bang is our community partner. All right, what else do we know about the project? Hitome. Good. Hitome said we are creating a hero profile. So also simultaneously, if you have not finished the note or the no, if you haven't finished the entry document and putting no's and no's, we are doing that together right now. There is no excuse for you at the end of this to say, "Oh, I didn't finish it." No excuse at all. Okay, we're creating hero profile. Okay, someone on this side of the room, Jackson. Familiarize yourself with fiction or ancient society. Okay, we need to familiarize ourselves. We uh, know that we need to look to ancient society / civilizations. Is that what you were saying? Good. All right, now I'm going to go over to the Google Meet. I'm going to ask for someone to speak up that's in the distance learning. Somebody volunteer. No, you cannot leave the Google Meet. I'm asking for you all to give me information. So, Deacon, if you have everything done, give me some information. What is something we know about this project? We know what they do and sell. So okay, Kayla says, we know that Big Bang, and William says, I know that we are examining historical events. All right, so we know that Big Bang sells toys, comics, books, graphic novels, RPGs, etc. They sell a lot of stuff. And then William said, we're examining historical events. We are looking at historical events to better create a hero. Good. All right, someone else in this room. Let's get 3 more no's. 3 more no's. Someone other, Wyatt, I appreciate it. But somebody else that I haven't heard from yet. Center back row, one of these 4 tables. I haven't heard from y'all yet. Give me a no. You should all have a list of no's in front of you right now. Yes. That is a huge no. That is one of the most important ones I was looking for, is that the character or the hero must be based in fact, but can have some elements of fiction. Okay? I don't know what it's saying. The hero. Okay. But can have some elements of fiction. And what do we know has to be based in fact? What 3 things did it say in the entry document that we should really yes. Yes. The facts should be based on geography, government, and religion. All right, so those should be factual whenever we're looking at this. Okay, good. So we got a good list of. Anybody else got a burning no? I think the big ones I wanted to cover was who our community partner is, what we are creating, and how we know it has to be based in fact, but can be a little bit of fiction, and that fact is geography, government, and religion. Awesome. So let's go over to the need to knows. All right, I'm going to give the first need to know to the online group. What's our first need to know? You can either just come on and say it out loud, or you can just type it in the comment box. What is a need to know that we have? Good, Deegan. I see that you added that. What do you mean intriguing nature? Do you mean that? What does intriguing nature mean? I think is what you're asking. So what are we going to do to understand intriguing nature? What is an intriguing nature? Good. What else do we need to know? Okay, how do we make a hero profile? How do we create a hero profile? What else? Yes.
What historical events do we research?
Good. Bam. Good. What is the Odyssey? Good. What question do you have about the Odyssey other than what is the Odyssey? Huh? Oh, okay. What do you have questions there about Odyssey? So we know that it looks at an ancient civilization. So what question do you have about that? Yeah, what ancient civil? I'm going to kind of indent this. What ancient civilization? What other questions? What are we creating? We're creating a what profile? A hero profile. So do we assume there's a hero in the Odyssey? So that's a question they have. Who is the hero of the Odyssey? Good. All right, so we said in the nose that we are creating a hero profile. What question do you have about the hero profile? No questions about the hero profile whatsoever. Okay, how do you, or yeah, we have how do we create a hero profile, but what goes into a hero profile? Is that maybe what you mean? Yeah. And I think with that question above, intriguing nature, I think that goes further. Oh, that's wrong. Oh, not what does, what goes. So I think a better question with this intriguing nature is what makes a good hero, right? Like what makes a good hero? What other questions do we have? Yes. Who is the main audience for what? For our hero. Yeah. I like that. Excellent. Another one? Yeah. Will we be advertising this or presenting? Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna cut you off. But this is awesome. You're doing great. Your budget. How long? Let's not say how long. Let's say how much information is needed for our hero profile. Good. Okay. Okay. Yes. What's the requirements for? Yeah, requirements for profile. Okay. What does our hero have to be based on? That's what you're missing questions about. What? Someone I haven't heard from. Three gentlemen over here. I haven't heard from you all yet. So we are making a hero story. Uh, what is this hero based off of? What are we researching? What are we looking at? Sorry, say it louder. Not what is even included, but I'm asking, and this can be whole class help out. What are we researching to be able to figure out? Sam. Of what? So Sam says geography, religion, and government of what? a civilization. So what do we need to know about our civilizations? And Sam took it to the next step and said geography, government, religion. Doing good. Getting there. All right. Anybody else? Anybody else have one that's not listed? I think we got most of what I wanted to cover. Yeah, I think this is a good list to go from. So I will get this together and format it so that we can put it into our kind of landing page and have that available to us. So let's go back over to our World Studies landing or our World Studies agenda. So we got number 1 done. We have our knows and need to knows class list. Usually we post these in the room and we'll write them all out. But since we're kind of half online, half in the classroom, we're just going to keep them online. So let's go to number 2, the 8 features of a civilization. So one question that we had is, what do we need to know about our civilization? What do we need to know and what do we need to learn? So one of the first questions that leads us up to that is, what makes a civilization? Okay? At what point do we turn from nomadic tribes and just groups of people into a civilized society? So we're going to take some notes. We're going to do a little workshop here. If you go down to civilization creation, and there is a folder called Civilization Materials. This is where I will present you all your workshops and notes concerning civilizations, okay? And then we'll also have one for the Odyssey that isn't open yet, okay? So we're going to open up civilizations, and there's a link right here, 8 features of a civilization workshop. If you click that link, it should open up this Google Doc, okay? Now, if you're in the room, you don't necessarily have to open the Google Doc, but I do suggest you getting out paper and writing notes. So get out some paper, write notes. If you're at home, grab paper or pen. If you absolutely don't have paper or pen, you can type it. But writing your notes is much more efficient, much more productive for you. All of the information that I cover in the Civilization and Odyssey sections can be tested on. So this could be used on a test and will be used on a test. I will ask questions like, what are the features of a civilization? Which of the following isn't a feature? How does this feature relate to this civilization? Things like that. Let's see if I can present and still be on the screen here. Yep, good. Okay, so with civilization, the big question we're trying to answer here is, what are the primary features of civilization? What does it mean to be civilized? Because our need to know, the question we're asking is, what do we need to know about our civilization? What are we trying to figure out? And this basic understanding, and with world studies, is understanding where do we come from in civilization? What is the basics of civilization? What does it mean to be civilized? Okay? Because one of our goals in high school is to send you all out as citizens of our civilization, the United States, and be good citizens. Okay? So we got to kind of go back to the beginning here and talk about this. There you go. All right, before civilization, let's talk about the uncivilized. Okay? And also, I will help you with your note-taking strategies here. Do you need to write down every single word on this slide? No, not necessarily, okay? Now, if I'm pointing out and saying that all of these are incredibly important and really spending a lot of time on each one of these, then you know I need to write it all down, okay? But I'm going to talk about the big idea here, okay? I would write before civilization and make note that it's missing these things. And I would take almost like one word from each of these, okay? Like only speaking, okay? Or a good way to say this is no writing, okay? Lived in small groups, so I put small groups, okay? Animals were essential to survival because they used skins for warmth, and then they developed fire. So this is thousands of years ago, well before civilization. Stone Age weapons. Life was not settled, it was moving around, and life was dictated by the climates. Religion was just an understanding of spirits and forces. It's called animism. There's no real defined religion. And basically the only writing that we have and kind of a history of this is cave paintings to tell stories. So very basic, okay? What do we call these groups? Kind of a review for middle school. Should know this. What do we call groups that move around and don't have settled lands and agriculture? Starts with an N. Sam. Nomads. So these were nomadic peoples, okay? So the big idea here is they're nomadic. They're moving. They're in small groups. No written language. Okay. No defined religion. Okay. Their life is dictated by climate, geography, and where they can basically go to live and get food, water, and some shelter. So we see a transition from this. Okay. So we go from this nomadic movement, hunter-gatherer, and transition to a settled agriculture. Agriculture is going to be a massive, very important aspect. Okay? So this settled agriculture is going to allow for them to fight against and develop larger groups, a written language. Climate geography is not going to play such a big role, and be able to further explore these other regions. Okay? And that settled agriculture is going to lead to an organized civilization. Okay? So we can see that it's all dictating survival. Okay? In the beginning, it's all about survival. It's about getting food, water, shelter. Okay? Settled agriculture allows for a settling down. Okay? And when we settle down and we stop moving as human beings, we can begin to create organized civilization. Okay? And this is really where this class picks up in history. Okay? With that organized civilization. Gotta keep moving my screen here. Okay. So the world's first civilizations emerged primarily in fertile, warm, and moist river valleys. What is one of the most famous river valleys in history? Mesopotamia, okay, the Fertile Crescent, okay? This is an area in the Middle East or Asia in which you have, what are the two rivers, you remember? The Nile would be Egyptians. Okay, but that's another really famous one. That's the other one I was looking for. The Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Okay, should have learned about this a little bit in middle school. Okay, y'all covered Mesopotamia and Egypt, probably. Yes, a little bit. But you can see, yes, the Nile, Euphrates, Tigris, Indus, Niger, Honghe, Jordan. All of these rivers throughout the world would bring the first civilized societies, and all of these rivers are all around the world. Okay. They stretch from everywhere from Africa to Asia, Europe, South America, into North America, and we see the development of people around rivers, okay, these warm, moist river valleys. Because what allows for this to happen? What do rivers do? They flood and bring what? Water and nutrients to the soil, okay? Y'all should have learned about this in middle school. That as these rivers flood, they leave silt on the soil, and as the waters recede, it's great for agriculture, planting crops. Okay? Good. So once they develop this, we begin to see that historians distinguish 8 features. Okay? These are the 8 things that groups develop to become quote unquote civilized. Okay? So I would now write 8 features of civilization at the top, at the next section of your notes. Maybe underline it. Okay? Yeah. Yes, of course. That's a great idea. Yes. So looking at developed cities and settlements. So I put number 1, developed cities / settlements. You need that title, okay? And the idea here is that cities are planned. Okay, there's large dwellings, building, organized market areas, religious centers. Okay, so do you need to write that whole paragraph? No, you don't have to write that word for word. Okay, so let's pull out what's most important. Okay, so cities are planned. Okay, large dwellings, market areas, religious centers. Okay, so you really have those big ideas underneath that number 1. And thank you, Ms. Stockdale. I think she made an example of that good. So, mostly planned, large dwellings, organized market, religious center. Okay, and this idea, and you can think about the United States. You can think about Owensboro. Owensboro will check off every single one of these boxes. Okay, we have a marketplace. We have the mall, which is kind of slowly dying down. But where's our newest marketplace? Where are they growing a new marketplace? 54. 54 is now becoming kind of the new central hub. You see how our civilization as Owensboro is transitioning. Okay? This is the same thing in ancient civilization. Sorry, Ms. Stockdale, what? Yeah, if you all want to see that, you can kind of move over. I'm okay with that. You want to be able to see. All right, so number 2, organized government. Okay? We all know about organized government right now because what is about to happen in November? Election. You guys are hearing a ton about that right now. Okay, probably seeing commercials. That's why you're seeing all these signs everywhere you go. But organized government. Okay, people rise to consolidate power and make decisions on the behalf of others. What on that first bullet? What the really important part is? People make decisions on behalf of others. Okay. So people are taking leadership, okay? We see this back in the most ancient civilizations. And most of this will become a monarchy, okay, or an emperor, okay, a dictatorship in which you have one person making the decisions for the majority, okay? Now, that's not necessarily the case for all these civilizations, but for many of them, that is the case. It would become more complex with laws, taxes, militaries, territories. So the big idea there is I put little bullets on taxes, laws, militaries. So those parts of the government begin to become established. Okay? Laws, taxes, militaries. Kind of big ideas there. So organized government begins to come into power. You may know what this building is in the picture. It is not the White House. This is Capitol Hill, Congress. Good. All right. So let's keep going. Number 3, complex religions. Okay? So yes, civilizations throughout history, every civilization has had a religion that it is linked to, and many founded in. Okay? You all learned a lot about Egyptians, okay, in middle school, okay, about the Nile and the Egyptian civilization. You should have learned that the complex religion and the belief that their pharaoh, the government structure, was based off this religion, that he is essentially a god, okay? So you see religion plays into these civilizations. Okay? Early man worshipped spirits and animals. We kind of already wrote that earlier, so I would skip that first one and go to this. Civilized man still worshiped these things, but gave them names and purpose and ritual. So the big idea here is that religions would move towards rituals and ceremonies. And then there's two big key terms under this that we need to know, and that's polytheistic, which equals many gods, and then monotheistic, equaling one God. And you can see the root word there. Poly means many. I can't keep going down there. Sorry. Poly means many, and mono means one. And then theistic is a religion, okay, a religious belief. So if you were to talk about theology, you're talking about religion. Theistic is religion. So poly, many, mono, one. You need to know that. All right, we're going to move on to number 4. Going too fast. Slow down. Thank you. No, I need that. That's good. So the real big idea here is that they begin to have rituals and ceremonies that lead to government decisions, and these different civilizations will begin to develop polytheistic religions, many gods, or monotheistic religions, one God. Number 4, job specialization. I'll move myself down here, get out of the way here. Job specialization. So this is that each person would grow out of only farming, okay? It would no longer be for just the basic life, okay? So once people figured out farming, only takes a few people, they can turn their attention to making other things, okay? So the big idea here is began to work on other items other than farming, okay? They can make tools, okay? They become artisans. So tool makers, artisans. And we keep going back to Egypt because you guys are familiar with it. And they would have these different levels and jobs within those levels. So you could have soldiers, scribes, religious jobs, merchants, and even slaves. Okay, so different levels or job specializations. Okay, so you can begin to see artisans and tool makers. Not just concentrating primarily on survival, okay, gathering food and water, or building shelter. Building off of these other jobs to make life easier, more sustainable. To move away from just farming. All right, moving on. All right, social class. Kind of similar to job specialization, but linked to your hierarchy within your society. Okay? So formed hierarchies, and hierarchies are levels based on wealth. Okay? The more you have, the higher on the social ladder that you climb. Okay? And we can see this in the last slide, because we can see just like the Egyptians, the more power you had, the higher you were on the pyramid. But in most of these, it had to do with wealth. Okay? The more you had, the higher on the social ladder you were. Okay? And in many of these civilizations, your ability to get things within your society depended on this social class, what group you were in, and you weren't able to move through this social class. Okay? For example, priests, nobles were at the top, with merchants, peasants, and slaves moving down the ladder. Okay? Does the United States have social classes? Okay, so we do have social classes, because we have people that make more money than other people. But is that formulated by law? No, okay? And you don't have to write this down, but that's de facto, okay? De jure means that it's by law you are in these different categories. Are there societies today that still have laws that put you in a social class? There are, okay? There are Middle Eastern societies, Asian societies. I believe there's a couple of South American societies that still run on a social class system. And that actually have you where it is very hard. North Korea is a very specific one where you're born into a social class and it's very difficult to move out of that social class. Okay? All right, number 6. Art and architecture. So we can see that a lot of this is because of agriculture, because of sustaining life. These societies are able to move away from just the basics of life. So art and architecture, which is expression of society style. Okay, this can be in building, art, pottery, sculptures, and it kind of helps to define this civilization and how they look in a different way to other societies. The United States is very interesting in the fact that we have a lot of emerging societies and types of art and architecture that have come together in the United States because of our history. Yes? A lot of art and architecture in the U.S. Yeah, very much so. And that's kind of the modern look in architecture, especially with skyscrapers and bridges and things like that. Yeah. It's efficient too. Yeah. So we can see the difference in architecture. So most of this was represented by religion. So we can see how these different features play into each other. Okay? They can represent god or goddesses or important leaders. Okay? All right, number 7. Number 7 is public works or infrastructure. Okay? So as you begin to have these developed cities, you start running into more problems. Okay? Like how to get from the government building to the marketplace or to the religious center. Okay? When you have a lot of people together, things start getting very kind of gross, and not to be too crude, but people have to use the restroom. And when you have a lot of people using the restroom, where does all that go? Okay? How do we get water to those people? How do we get rid of our trash? Yes?
Egypt had the most advanced statues for over centuries.
Yeah. I think Rome is the next one that follows up with the aqueducts and things like that. So yeah, these cities had to come up with ways to take care of this growing population. Okay, so the infrastructure. And that can include the irrigation systems, roads, bridges, defense, food storage, police departments, banks, ways for this society to function. Okay? And today, the United States has a bustling infrastructure. Okay? Yeah. Some people would argue that we are struggling, though, with that because of our failing infrastructure. A lot of our bridges and buildings are getting really old, and we need to pour more money into it. That's actually a big topic in the presidential debates today, is if we should put money into infrastructure. Good. All right, so last one, number 8. possibly the most important one to historians, is writing. Okay? So it first took place and took form in pictograms, drawing images, symbols, hieroglyphs, and would later become the written word. Okay? Scribes were trained, so this is bringing in that job specialization into scribes, being trained to use writing back then to record and keeping the histories of members of society. And actually, one of the first things that drove writing and mathematics was the economic system. Okay, being able to keep record of sales and trades and things like that. Okay, but writing would be the way in which a society could build upon each other. Okay, how many of you all wanted to do either like game design or computer engineering or build or work with computers? I mean, I think it was like a third of the class at least. Like we had a ton of people interested in that. Today, do you have to learn how to actually make every single part of the computer become a computer engineer? No, because we have learned from each other. That information has been passed on, and we don't have to relearn that because it's built into our infrastructure. It's built into who we are. Okay, and that's the same thing with our society. As we learn our history, we begin to build upon it, and we can make ourselves better to the point where we're having video conversations across our city. Okay. All right. The next key to this is geography. Okay. Now this. Oh, sorry. To add to writing, just as you are finishing up, writing. The next project that we look at will be looking at the Renaissance. Okay. And in the ancient period, the development of writing would change their society. Okay. They begin to grow and challenge and learn from themselves. In the Renaissance, that takes on an even greater level, okay? Because they begin to print books and information, and it allows that to spread even faster. What today, through the written word, is changing our society constantly. What has changed? Like in the Renaissance, it was the printing press. What is changing today for us? What do we have available to us constantly? The internet, okay? And we talked about this kind of in the first project that we are getting and spreading information incredibly fast through the internet, okay? So really intense. All right, going back, the next step we're going to be looking at geography and how geography played a role into this. You don't have to write these down right now. And we'll actually, and anybody know what empire or civilization this is? This is Rome, the Roman Empire. And we're going to talk about probably next on Thursday or Friday about geography. So we're not going to get into that right now because I'm not ready to. We'll come back to that when we talk about that. Just so we're not confusing everybody. So going back to our agenda, we have our notes on the civilizations. We're going to do benchmark 1, which is civilization research. Okay, so what we have left today is the civilization research, and then we have no red ink. So let's look at the civilization research. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do the civilization research, I apologize. Hold on just a second. We need to do, and this is in the wrong order. I wish this was below it. So you need to click on the ancient civilization selection list. Okay? So you see it right here, ancient civilization selection list. So everybody head back to Echo. And if you're at home, you're doing the same. Ancient civilization selection list. I'm going to click on that list. And then it's going to take you to this website or this Google Doc right here. So right now, you all are going to choose what civilization you're going to be researching for this project and what you're going to base your hero off of, okay? I'm taking the first step. Now, I didn't list every single ancient civilization or empire that has ever existed, but I kind of pulled from a large list that would work. Make sure now you guys can edit this list, so be very careful with it. Don't delete anything on the top here. But you can choose from any of the civilizations on the list below. Scroll down, find your name, and write what civilization you want to research for this project. If you know of another civilization that existed before 1000 AD, that's kind of considered ancient, and some of these kind of go up past 1000 AD, which is okay, and you'd like to research that civilization, let me know, okay? I purposefully did not put Egypt on here because in middle school you all really cover Egypt in detail. And usually whenever I let Egypt be a selection, a lot of people do Egypt, and I kind of want to get away from Egypt, okay? Because you all have looked at that before. So if you find your name down below, you're going to select your civilization that you want to look at. So we have everything. We have each continent even has, we have each continent listed, so we should have a good diversity between Africa, Asia, all of these different civilizations. So I'll give you all about a minute to look through the list and kind of choose. Now, if you start benchmark 1 and you are getting into benchmark 1 and you're sitting there thinking, I just don't want to research this civilization as I'm looking into it, you can make a quick switch. That's okay. Just you don't want to get past benchmark 1 and switch after that because you're going to make too much work for yourself. Take just a moment longer. So I've got a few people that haven't selected anything yet. So find your name and put that in there. And I'm just kind of going through here, seeing a lot of different diversity. Vikings seem to be a very popular one this year, which are fun. They make a fun superhero with it, or not superhero, but a hero with it. Sure.
They ate dried cod and that had all the essential nutrients
Yeah.
and such for them.
Yeah. They could live at sea for a really long time because of that. All right, so everybody should have chosen a civilization. Go ahead and go to benchmark 1. And if you're having trouble finding it, you go to Civilization Creation Project. And then just should be the last thing on the list right now, Benchmark 1 Civilization Research. It says use the template provided to complete Benchmark 1. So you're going to go and open up the template, submit the template. Okay, so open the template, submit it. And I'll pull up the template here so you can see it. And the first thing you're going to do after you open it up, I'll give you a second to do that. You're going to go and gather some basic information about your civilization. Okay? So let's look at this together. Everybody got this up in here? Need another second? See a few people still typing. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and write the name of the civilization that you chose. It was Japanese or Viking or Mesopotamian or whatever it might have been, Mali. And this is where you kind of need to go and do some basic research, okay? Go and grab some information, okay? So we're going to be looking for the date that your civilization existed, okay? So give me the date range, okay? When did your civilization? So it should be, most of them will probably be from BC into AD, okay? So BC is before Christ, BCE before Common Era, depending on how you want to talk about it. Before Common Era is the technical. AD, Anno Domini, or the Common Era. So dates of civilization. You need to find a map, an image of your civilization, and put that into this box. You're going to find the location. So what continent is it on? Is it in Asia, North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Australia? I don't think any of that I listed on there was in Australia. But what continent is it in? And then this one right here is asking. So if you're starting this already, make sure you're paying attention to this because some of these might be confusing. I'm going to clarify. So it says, what present-day country or countries would the civilization be located in today? Okay? So depending on which, so if it was Rome, okay, you have a lot of countries. You don't have to list every single country, but you know, some of the major countries, okay? Like it was all the way from Africa with Algeria and Italy and Europe, parts of Europe with Germany and France and Spain and all the way into the Middle East. So you need to list if it's quite a large area. But if it was like the Japanese Empire, obviously it's just Japan. Okay? And then this section right here is you're going to find a specific website, not Wikipedia, that has information pertaining to your civilization. Okay? You can copy and paste the link to the website here. You're going to do the link here. And then you're going to create the MLA citation for the website down below. Okay? And I put that example right there of how you do the author's name first and the title, short work, container, publisher, so on and so forth. So you're going to create your MLA Works Cited link here. And then down below, after you find your website, you are going to do this section. So let's look at this together. Using the website that you found above, gather some information concerning the civilization you chose. This should pertain to the 8 features of civilization. You may select 2 of the 8 features and write a paragraph for each in your own words concerning the civilization. Okay? Choose 2 features from the list below and write 1 in each box. So you might choose like government and religion or social class and cities or whatever the 2 you want to choose. I would go off of your website that you found, okay? Because some websites might have nothing about social classes, okay? But they should if they're a good website for you. If you found a good website, you should be able to find these 2 things, okay? Choose 2 features from the list below, write 1 in each box, and write a paragraph in your own words concerning that feature and your civilization. So you could do like cities here and job specialization or government and religion. Probably the easiest two to find on your websites that you're going to find are government and religion. It's probably going to be your easiest, okay? But if you find others are interested, and you can use more than one website if you'd like, but I'm only requiring you to use one website, okay? All right, so that is this assignment. Now you have today and you have tomorrow to work on this, okay? And I'll kind of get a gauge. We got about 25 minutes left in class, and I wanted to give you 20 minutes for writing, so that's not a lot of time to work on this. I might give you a little bit of time on Thursday, okay? But let's kind of get started on it because I want to be able to give you time today. So take the next about 5-10 minutes to work on this, finding that first kind of information. Make it a goal of at least getting top information plus a website, and we'll go from there.